A half-naked guy running around with the fucking helmet on, shooting AR-15s. That was my highlight.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest.
All right, we're rolling. You ready?
I mean, it's
Pulling
ready-
Thread Podcast,
Yes,
episode 122. What is the number?
79.
It is not.
79.
We did 83 last week.
We did
Lying
not.
motherfucker. There's no way we're still in the 70s.
79.
We did 83 last week. There's no
79.
way. No possible way.
79.
No way.
79.
Is that how he died? No way.
Have you seen that dude? He does that. Oh, for fuck's sakes. He's on Instagram.
Yeah, I like it. His shit's always
Yeah,
good.
he's really good.
Shit's always good.
This nerdy dude, he's like, no way. And he goes through and like these hacks and these little tips and tricks and stuff. There's a
Yeah.
lot of them for funnels.
He'll see a like a weird hack on TikTok about, how to do something crazy with a tool that you're not supposed to be able to do. And then he'll be like, no way. And then he goes out in the garage and he'll find all the shit and then he'll do it.
Yeah, Josh sent me it the first time. Like his stuff's really good. Like it's,
Work out?
huh?
Does it usually work out?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
usually works
yeah.
out. I think he probably just picks things that work out.
I think people, once you get to that size, people just send you that shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to find your content anymore.
That would be nice.
So what's on your radar?
I don't know. What's happened in the last week that
I don't know. The world looks a little different right now.
does it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It looks more promising.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, what did you, so when you first heard that they tried to kill Trump, what was the first thing went through your mind?
I mean, I don't know if I was thinking about,
Jason
something
Burnett,
off-
Jason Burnett came up and handed me the phone and I go, what do you want me to see? He goes, they just tried to kill Trump. Now I fucking lost my breath over it. I don't, and I wouldn't have thought that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had that on my radar.
I probably, okay, so my expectation was it was going to happen anyway. So for somebody to come in and say they just assassinated Trump or tried to, I'm like,
That was my question. Is
I'm
he
like-
my first? Is he alive?
I'm thinking I'm surprised it took them as long as it did. But since their silencing effort failed, their jail effort failed, assassination's all they have left.
So do you really believe it's the 20-year-old kid that did it?
Yeah.
You don't
yeah.
think there was a secondary shooter or something?
No, there wasn't a secondary shooter.
So how did they manipulate this kid to do this?
I don't
'Cause
know.
you hear a lot of different shit, right? We heard Antifa. We've heard a lot of stuff about this kid. He was bullied.
Yeah.
But then they're
did you hear that he has a 10-inch cock?
No. Why do we know that?
Because he says it on a video.
The kid does?
Yeah.
So there's no social media footprint of the kid.
Right.
Where's the 10-inch cock thing?
A video of him at school somewhere. They're doing some sort of interview, and he talks about it.
With some kids behind him kind of harassing him or bullying him.
No,
I think
I mean,
it looked
they-
like they coerced him to say
They
that.
do rabbit ears over his head, but that's not bullying, guys. If you think rabbit ears is bullying, you need to come to Santana
SOE.
High School. You need to come to Santana High School circa 1988, and I'll show you bullying.
So they were interviewing a bunch of the neighbors around the house, and they said that they were avid Trump supporters and pro-Second Amendment and all this stuff. Now, none of that's there. They don't find anything of the kid on social media having any political affiliation whatsoever. They say that
Well, he donated to the Biden campaign, but he also was a registered Republican.
the kid.
The kid. Yeah.
So I'm curious about because the kid was 20. I'm curious about the father. They say that the gun actually came from dad. I heard Palmetto State Armory. First, I heard Ruger 5.56. I've heard so much different shit. The truth is, it's probably a fucking Daniel Defense with the same serial number as all the last 10 shootings.
No, I mean, I tried to search.
I don't know that I really believe that, but
I tried to search the gun, and there really is not even pictures of the gun.
have you seen the BlackRock fucking commercial with him in
yeah,
it? Is it in fact him? It looks to
Yeah,
be.
it's him. It's him.
So do you know who owns the building he was in? The Glass Research Company or whatever?
The building he was on top of.
Yes.
No.
Do you know that was a fucking police? The police were using that building inside
Yeah,
the building
they were inside the building.
while this kid's on the roof.
Yeah.
So the building tracks back to some group, some owning conglomeration company that's actually tied in heavy with Black. It's just all kinds of weird shit. BlackRock.
Well, I mean,
They own 65% of the real estate in the United States.
if you really
2 degrees of separation.
I know that we have to be conspiracy heavy in this country because we always want to put two things together. And it's usually because we believe something to be true, even if it's not true. And so what we believe to be true, our analysis, we believe to be true, is that somehow the Secret Service is immune to all the frailties of failed leadership that everybody else is having right now. They're not immune to it. They have terrible leadership. That is what happened.
So are you of the belief that this kid is the actual shooter?
Yeah, he's the actual shooter.
And he was operating on his own.
He was operating on his own.
Have you seen all the videos from the JTF2 guys and all these other snipers and stuff saying no way?
He was not only was he operating on his own.
We're in such a fucked up state that actually is the case.
That's the problem. Again, when you talk about JTF snipers or whatever, we want to believe that the people on the ground are the most qualified people on the ground. And unfortunately, the Secret Service has the same problem that every other government agency is. They're more concerned with diversity hires than they are about actual real thugs on the street.
Are you aware that the Houthis are bombing ships underway? Are you aware of this?
Bombing ships underway?
Yeah, right now.
No, I mean...
So they're attacking a bunch of ships. They're using unmanned... drone boats.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the government has come out and say we can't call them that. They have to be uncrewed. You have to use the word uncrewed. It can't be unmanned because of gender. Yeah, that's real. That happened yesterday. What you're talking about.
That is exactly what our problem is.
So
our problem is we're worried about things that don't fucking matter.
Did you see the 3 Charlie's Angels fucking Secret Service when they're trying to put Trump into the beast?
No, but again.
So they got 3 women. One's very round, pudgy. Could be the armor. But apparently those women have been on Trump's detail since day one, is what they're saying. So I'm take it that Trump probably didn't.
Here's the thing.
I take it Trump didn't pick his team, right? That was assigned to him.
Those are assigned to him. Here's the thing about a security detail.
Did you see his new security detail?
No, I haven't seen it. But this is what I'm going to. This is here's the problem, and this is why when you're doing diversity hires, it works.
To fucking unravel the system and destroy it.
It works. It works until you have to do the thing that you're getting paid to do.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
You can have I can have an all girl cheerleader firefighting unit. We don't know if they can fight a fire until they have to go fight a fire.
Well, hold on. Let's even go with cheerleading. You can have an all girl cheerleading fucking squad too. But the one with the dude on the fucking base, he's going to throw that bitch fucking 10 times higher. He's also going to bowling ball her when he catches her more appropriately.
It's like Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi had an all-female security detail. When Muammar Gaddafi needed a security detail, he had no all-girl female security detail. They were all gone.
Good point.
Just saying. I'm not. Again, there are probably because there was more than just 3 females there. There was more than 3 female.
Yeah, there were dudes there. Yeah.
No, but I mean 3 female agents, and they're probably really, really good Secret Service agents.
I had heard it said that the whole fucking detail was female.
No.
I'd also heard that the chick everybody's making the memes about has been with the Secret Service for over 20 years. She was on Obama's or something. But I thought the Secret Service, that detail follows him for the rest of his life.
No. It changes. So you get a different detail when you go from president to former president. It doesn't follow. Now you can, like, President Trump could go, hey, I really want Brandel on my detail. But you think about it. Brandel doesn't want to be on post-presidential Trump's detail because if he's in the detail, there's no promoting up out of the detail.
Yeah, but he would go with me.
He's following him around. You don't. Basically, what you don't want to do is be stuck in a detail, even if that detail's a great detail, right? If you really like the president or you really hate the president, you don't want to be stuck in that detail past, that original inception date. Meaning, you don't want to be a guy who's been with Donald Trump for 8 years. unless you're okay with your career being over, because that is a career ender.
I'll bet they want to be on that detail now, with him about to be president again.
Maybe. Is he going to be president? This was a.
I think the world. I think the world wants it.
There, I believe that it's not whether or not the world wants it. We need it.
I'm with you.
Because the failed policies of liberalism is swirling us around the fucking toilet.
So back to the three.
I mean, I want you to think about this
Yes.
just for a second. When you think about what happened, okay? When we talk about assassination, when we talk about the Secret Service and presidents being assassinated, we are never talking about a professional gunman. We are always talking about a walk-on. Somebody who walks onto the scene and is able to gain certain amount of access to shoot and kill a president. Now, every time that happens, every time from Lincoln all the way up to Reagan, every time that happens, the Secret Service adjusts how they protect the president in order to try and stop those walk-ons. This dude was a total walk-on. He was a total walk-on that was known for over 30 minutes. So for this type of failure to happen, we are talking about a total leadership collapse. No one was willing. No one, you think about it, everybody below the...
They have people in such a fear to do their job.
No one was willing
that
to
they wouldn't
execute,
take that shot without
no
fucking...
One, No one was willing to execute the necessary things to ensure that this was not this wasn't a real threat. Now, understanding when they first saw him, he wasn't carrying a gun. He was carrying a rangefinder. I mean, that alone, to me, I don't even care if you pulled a rangefinder out and went, that alone requires person contact because you have a rangefinder. You would know me as a police officer, and the rest of that time that you were there, I would be your problem. Now you might
be detaining you.
Now you might be on fucking CNN going, this motherfucking police officer was harassing me. All I was trying to do was see the president with my little rangefinder. Okay. But again, the purpose and point of what is going on there is protecting the president, not the feelings of individuals within the crowd. The one thing that most people aren't paying attention to is this was an increased security detail. They increased the security detail based off of threats from Iran. So this wasn't the normal detail. This wasn't what was going on a month ago. They increased the detail, and he fucking walked on. That's a total fucking failure of leadership. Everybody down to the fucking. I mean, I don't know. The director should be fired. The individual who is responsible for the security detail there on the ground should be fired.
Somebody from Iran would have used a bomb vest, correct?
Maybe.
Why wouldn't they just stand off and fucking use a mortar?
Well, again, what you're doing is you're talking the difference between a 99% of the time when we are going to assassinate, when we are talking about assassination outside of the CIA, forget about the shit that they do, but when we're talking about assassination, we're talking about someone who is emotionally unstable and is using emotion in order to execute the plan that they're doing. That's why there's never a getaway plan, right? They don't ever have a getaway plan.
Wasn't it Bodyguard that he said anybody can kill the president? You just have to be willing to trade your life for it.
That's true. And that's the truth of it, is the Secret Service have a very hard job because, again, something that we don't know because we probably will never know, because this is going to turn into a fucking she said, he said. It's going to turn into a fucking fiasco.
Yeah, our grandkids are going to be fucking talking about this.
But something that we don't know is how many credible threats on any given day are called out that turn out to be nothing.
They caught a guy at the Republican National Convention last night with an AK and a bunch of ammo in a vehicle that they some reason believe was there or headed there. They stopped him. Now that could easily be fucking any of 100 people we know. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a fucking rifle and ammo in their car. I'll bet he does right now.
Yeah, but this is what I'm going to say. If you're a fucking moron and you've got your AK-47, your I'm going to get home gun in the truck, and you got your I'm going to get home ammo in the truck, and you're driving anywhere near the RNC, I mean, again,
I got you.
it's your threat assessment. If you think that you're going to survive the apocalypse, and your threat assessment is to go through fucking police checkpoints with all your kit in the back, then you're not going to make it.
This is going to be. They knew this kid was radicalized or whatever. This was on their radar. They had contact with him. FBI was aware of him, and they fucking freed him or in fact facilitated in some manner, just like the Gretchen Whitmer thing, right? They had this whole fucking task force, this sting. They round up 16 people, and fucking 14 of them are fucking CIs or in fact federal agents themselves. Do you know?
I don't think so. I think he's just a walk-on.
Do you remember the? Do you remember when the bombing happened in Nashville Christmas Eve a couple of years ago at the AT&T building?
Uh-huh.
You know they had that solved in 30 minutes, right? They were. Here's the head detective.
Yeah.
That FBI guy. He's very famous for a case where he was the head detective in this case with this kid. They found him when he was 16 years old or so, and they fucking gave him a girlfriend. The girlfriend was in fact his girlfriend for 2 or 3 years was a confidential informant for the feds. They gave him all the information to make the bomb. They fucking gave him the material to make the bomb, and then he made the bomb. Now, it wasn't real. He thought it was real explosives or whatever, but they ran that all through. They worked that kid for fucking 4, if not 5 years, until he got to the point where he was actually going to go and do this thing.
Yes, they do that all the time.
That's what this is going to be. You're going to find this out 10 years from now.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. I don't think so. I think this is a legit,
One and done, and this is it.
This is a legit case of. This is probably a legit case of a kid that had some mental illness problems that.
Well, I mean, he is clearly physically has some disabilities.
Facilitated into this walk-on where he thought he was. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the CIA did fucking.
I don't
think so.
Why are we not hearing anything from the parents? Like, there's no interviews.
Well, because the parents are smart. Their son tried to kill. Why would you give an interview? I mean, especially in this day and age when, unfortunately, it turns out it's his father's gun, not his gun. So there is that guilt and culpability in knowing that this happened, knowing that your son was responsible, knowing that the gun that you purchased might have been also responsible. So I mean, it's smart not to do any interviews. I wouldn't do any interviews.
Got it.
Again, it's not that I don't know. No matter what, this is a completely failed leadership issue. The building in question there should have been dudes on top of that building to have the fucking this is how you know,
just to hold the ground.
This is how you know that it's a complete shit show.
Did you hear what she said?
That the angle of the roof was too, yeah. This is how you know it was a complete shit show. The only mission of those Secret Service agents there at that particular time, the only mission is to protect the President of the United States. That's their only mission. They don't have any other mission. They failed to protect the President of the United States. Now, a good leader would recognize the fact that they failed that mission, would be like, I take full responsibility for what happened because this fully is my responsibility to protect the President of the United States. We are going to do an investigation. We are going to figure out why this happened, and we are going to make changes necessary to protect the President of the United States. But instead of doing that, they did exactly what liberals do. They started pointing the finger at everybody else. It's their fault. It's their fault. It is not the fault of local law enforcement that the President of the United States got shot. It's not their duty to protect the President of the United States. It is the Secret Service's duty. And that building was a threat building well within the scope of their security detail. They failed. The leadership failed Donald Trump. The leadership failed the American people by allowing that individual to be able to get up on that roof all nimbly. He didn't sneak. Like, this guy didn't sneak. He was known for 30 minutes. Law enforcement made contact with him on the roof. This is a failed Secret Service operation, period. The leadership should all be fired. They should be held accountable. That is the problem with what is going on in this world, is we don't hold these people accountable anymore. We just let them keep fucking up.
So his detail last night, it's all dudes. They're 6'2" and above. They're fucking gorillas.
Well, again, like
now when you're involved in a shooting like that, I would assume that there's going to be a mandatory stand down, like an officer involved
Yes.
shooting, he gets put on a desk job or whatever, has
All
to go
those-
through psych counseling. I would assume Trump's like, fuck all of you, but at the same time,
No.
they probably had to stand down.
Well, Trump, I mean, if you think about it, is Trump has been with these guys, what are we, 3 years now? So for most of them, especially the close detail, Trump probably has semi-personal relationships with these individuals, right? He sees them every day. They see him every day. So there is that personal relationship a little bit. And you can fake the funk. Like, you can fake the funk as long as you never, ever have to execute the mission that you're required to execute. You know, when, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they finally stood him up, there was only one fucking dude there that could actually block the view of the president. Only one. The little girl that ran in front who was trying to jump up to block, and they're putting their hands up as if, what the fuck is your hand going to do? It's not going to stop a 22.
Did you see the FBI guy and all the armor and everything jacked up point his rifle at fucking Trump or towards the car?
They pointed towards the car, but
What do you think that was about?
that's just perspective. I don't think, I highly doubt he pointed his rifle at, I think it's just the perspective of the camera, so it looks like he did that. I highly doubt he pointed the gun at the car.
There's no way that could breach that car anyways.
Yeah, that five. I mean, well, technically not true. You can breach the glass on that SUV.
Probably
but-
not that one.
Yeah, you can. You just have to have a lot of bullets. He probably wasn't pointing at the vehicle, or worst case scenario and worst decision process is somebody was like, where is fucking Trump? And he's like, in the vehicle, right? But I think what that boils down to is perspective, because you're looking at a two-dimensional camera view, and so I bet he wasn't pointing at the car at all, pointing at the vehicle at all. Because there's I don't know if you've seen some of the other camera views, like the view that we got was pretty straight, it was the front view. And they're releasing a lot of other camera views that kind of change the perspective.
There's a lot of videos. Like there was a very famous one. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I saw a very similar one yesterday. A little like Chinese looking kid, and there's a boot on his head.
Oh yeah.
And then when it pulls back, he's playing with a boot.
He's got the
it's
boot
not
on his head.
It's not a troop.
Have you seen the video of the lady sitting directly behind Donald
Yes,
Trump?
that does seem to be real.
That is sus, man. I don't know.
Yeah, she pulls out the Biden right as he's about to be shot. She's looking around, pulls the sign out, says Biden, and she didn't even flinch. Like when those fucking bullets went off, she didn't even move. Everybody fucking panicked except that bitch.
That might have been his girlfriend.
Whose girlfriend? Oh, that dude's girlfriend.
That might have been his cougar older girlfriend.
We're gonna find out she's the one from the plane. These motherfuckers aren't real. His eyes blink sideways. The one that made the big deal in the airplane.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot of interesting things that have
So the
took
Trump's
place, but
the Trump's campaign spin is that this is God's will.
I mean, let's not get crazy.
But that's what's being said.
Yeah, let's.
Did you see the crazy shit going on? Like there was some crazy shit at the RNC even, like some Davos kind of shit. People in fucking robes, and this is God's will. And
Yeah, stop, guys. That's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Did you watch any of the RNC shit?
No.
Oh, you might want to look at it. There's some bizarre like ritual kind of shit in there.
I don't know why do rich people feel like they need to do that stupid shit? I mean, maybe the devil's real, and in order to be rich, you have to fucking placate to the devil. But man, come on, guys. Have you seen
the interview with Bob Dylan?
The reality is, it doesn't matter if you become a billionaire one day, and you're like, hey, we're going to go to this thing, and it's going to look crazy, but you got to put this, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going. I don't understand why
Have you seen all the, like Bob Dylan? I saw an interview with Bob Dylan this morning. It was just a short, but they'd said, why are you still doing this? He says, because I sold my soul to the devil. Now, did he really sell his soul to the devil, or is that just a thing people say? But there does seem to be a lot of people like,
what's interesting?
human blood sacrifice, children, sold my soul to the devil.
I think that might be the reality is there might be this certain threshold that you have to cross over, that the people, it's that basis. There doesn't have to be a devil. It's the basis in the fact that I want to do something evil, or I want to do something that's outside the law, because I like doing it. I like doing these things that are outside the law. So before you can join the club, you have to do something that's outside of the law so you can now be in the club.
Or maybe they're so
Bob Dylan's probably done some shit that he's
maybe
going to regret
they're
in the
so-
afterlife, because something that most people don't understand is your soul doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. It's not yours to give away.
Who's it belong to?
It belongs to God. It doesn't belong to you.
So maybe they are so
You can't sell your soul.
maybe they're so indoctrinated into ritualism, right? Like the Skull and Bones Society and the Masons
Yeah,
and all
meaning-
the rituals. Maybe at the higher level, it really is the fucking devil. If there's a God, there's got to be a devil. So maybe that's the deal, right? They come in and they don't realize they really did fucking sign that contract and sold their soul to the devil.
Well, again, whether it's Hillary Clinton or who did they just roll up? P. Diddy.
Yeah.
What you are signing your soul away.
Did you see Eminem came out with a fucking new song?
What?
Blasting P. Diddy? Like, I think Eminem's just a shitty person. I don't know that I think he's a shitty person. I don't care for his politics. I don't understand how a fucking kabillionaire can come out talking about how these billionaires. It's like you said with who was the dude that got kicked out of the commune?
Oh,
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, yeah.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
We gotta stop these millionaires. But as soon as he was a millionaire, you notice he started going, we gotta stop these billionaires.
Yeah, it's that level of, again, there's when you hear anybody in the Democratic Party say they're fighting for the middle class, or when they're saying we're gonna tax the rich, they are the rich.
Yes.
They're the fucking rich.
Yeah, that's you, motherfucker.
They're all the rich. They're not going to tax themselves. Stop listening to their fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's you.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting.
Do you know who
it's
Amber
an
Rose
interesting
is?
time. I feel like I do not know who Amber Rose is.
She's a black porn star, right?
Is she? I don't know.
Is Kanye's girlfriend?
Yeah, a lot of rappers rap about her. They've all run through her. But she shows up at the RNC last night being like, yeah, I hated Trump, but now, I love Trump. And I mean, she said some very nice things, but it's weird to see. She got, what's across her, I suck cock across her forehead or whatever it says. I don't know what it says. But I mean, the people.
Did you hear about what Kanye would do?
What?
About his midnight parties?
No.
They would bring in all these girls for their midnight parties and let everybody just have fun.
Yeah.
And then at midnight, the girls would take their clothes off.
Okay.
And then you'd see who has the dicks and who doesn't.
Oh, shit. Because we didn't know, or we knew?
Because they didn't know. And so it would be that, what was that rock star movie that what's his name was in?
Get him to the Greek?
I think it was the rock star.
Get him to the Greek?
You're talking about
I think it was the rock star where Marky Mark is
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, and that's
80s
that
band.
and that was the thing, the transvestite girl.
But that's like
You hadn't made it until you had gone through the
that's like
the
an SOE
transvestite
party up until the part where the trannies.
Well, that's because they're too expensive.
That's how Oceanside was.
I don't know about that.
Was it not?
I don't know about that. I don't know if it was that. If it was that. I mean, the parties here are pretty out of control, but
Not here now,
yeah, not now.
but back in the day.
back
I
in
gotta
the day.
pee.
Sean's got to pee.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
So they said the kid had explosives. Is that what they're saying?
Explosives in the car and
Yeah.
an explosive device on him. by his cell phone when he was found dead.
By his cell phone. Did he have a detonator or an
Yeah,
explosive?
A detonator on him, and then explosives in the car.
Man, that could be a shutter bomb smoke grenade.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean,
They said I had explosives and machine guns when they raided my shop.
And the shot was from 150 yards away.
yep, which was not that big of a deal.
No.
Every Marine can do that.
And he went to the range the day before.
Nice. Okay.
He told his boss 3 words the day before.
Do we know what they
I don't
were?
know what the words are.
I'm not coming back.
John is the best.
Yeah.
I'll find out the words though.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Fuck you guys.
Man, there's some crazy shit. And maybe this happens on the other side, but you had a lot of people immediately tweet out like, I can't believe he missed. Oh my God,
yeah.
it would have been great if he got killed, you know? And people are going to these people's fucking jobs. Like there's
As they should.
very famous video rolling up to a fat chick at Home Depot. Are you Scoopy Loop 27? Did you say you wish Trump would die? I'm a vet. What the fuck have you done for this country? And just outing these people, like, and everybody's like, Home Depot has to fire that bitch.
And they should be fired.
And that works. The cancel culture thing.
I mean, they should be fired. I'm not saying cancel them. You want to keep putting your rhetoric on social media. Go ahead, but they should be fired for that because again, if the problem is if the shoe was on the other foot, that bitch would be screaming about her coworker needs to be fired because she wanted President Biden or whatever.
That's true. I mean,
So fuck 'em.
imagine the service she's giving. If you got crazy fucking rainbow hair, she's all about it. But if you come in there as a fucking somebody with a family, because it's just
Well,
weird.
Hey,
That's
if you're a dude that goes in there with a family, you don't need her help anyways. You know more than she does.
that's true. That is that other side though. They do not like the family. They want to take your family or corrupt your children. They do not want to have their own family.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just the reality is if you look at that side of the fence, there's a lot of mental illness over there, and they're all taking some sort of medication.
Well, I think that's what they're going to try to make this into. That's why they're saying this kid was a Republican, and medication's going to come into it once they do get the blood tox report. That's what they're trying to spin this all as. You know, there's not a lot of gun control shit being called for right now.
No, I know. Imagine that. Imagine the liberal left not crying out about an AR-15.
I did hear Trump say it was some kind of crazy AR-15 or something, which is odd because Trump knows guns.
He knows guns like somebody who's on the. Here's the thing.
I say that because Donald Trump Jr. knows guns. Like he's an avid gun collector, gun
Again.
shooter.
Again,
Goes hunting with Jacob,
though, those are peripherals in his world.
maybe. Yeah.
So yes, does Donald Trump Jr. know guns? Yes, Donald Trump Jr. know guns because he's jumped into that world. Donald Trump Sr., that's a peripheral thing. That's a thing his son does. I mean, Jesus, John, I had 30 guns. I had 30 guns in my mom's house. She never knew I had a gun. It's a peripheral, right? It's yes. Does Donald Trump kind of think he's a Second Amendment supporter and kind of yes, but it's still a peripheral. Like I'll bet if you put 10 guns down on the ground and said which one's the fucking what are they? He doesn't know. He's not going to know because it's a peripheral. Donald Trump, Donald Trump didn't grow up shooting guns. Donald Trump grew up fucking building buildings. So it would be a peripheral. I don't think, and that's kind of why when, and I would say that's kind of why when certain things have been brought to his attention, he's just like, okay, well, get rid of it, because it's really just a peripheral. It's not a way of life or anything like that for Donald Trump. Never has been. So
Who's the new vice president he's announced?
I can't remember his name, but
Vance?
Marine, yeah, Vance.
Was a Marine for 4 years.
Yeah, always a Marine.
Rags to riches story, apparently.
He'll make a good president.
He immediately came out and said we need to fuck up Iran.
All right, warmonger.
That's my point. Although
But that
wasn't
might
there
be-
just because of the threat on Trump over Iran also.
But that might really be that might really be the whole point of all of this. The whole point of all of this is Joe Biden does not have the capability. He doesn't have the capability. Not Joe Biden himself. Joe Biden's never had the capability, but the staff and team of liberalism that are behind Joe Biden does not have the capability to go to war with Iran. The military-industrial complex wants us to go to war with Iran. We need to stamp that fire out, just like they want to go to war with China. They need to get rid of them. They need to put somebody else in there. So maybe this is the wink wink nod nod that the permanent government is going to allow the right to take control because we need to go to war. How long after Trump is elected do we end up in some sort of fisticuffs with the Iranians? Which strategically, logically, if you even think that we need to go to war with Iran, you're a moron unless there is another reason to do it, meaning world dominance. Iran, Russia, China have to be taken out. Once that happens, who's in the way of America dominating the entire world? No one.
What's
NATO's already been weakened to the point that they're almost non-existent.
what does Iran produce?
Nothing. Well, just like Libya, the sweetest sweet crude oil you can get. But they really produce nothing. So
How big is it?
it's big. I don't know relative size compared to the other countries we were in, but it's not about war since Vietnam has not been about winning wars. It's about the financial benefit. What they really want is to be able to go into a soft target, which Iran would be a soft target. I mean, they're still flying F-14 Tomcats.
Didn't we at one point, I thought we blew up like their entire fucking naval fleet at one time?
We messed them up, yeah, but you could put troops on the ground for 20 years in Iran and continue to flourish your broken economy back in the United States through military procurements.
Did I see Zelensky just came out and said they're going to negotiate the surrender with Russia?
I don't know.
Somebody said that on live last night.
I don't think so, but who knows?
Something to that effect. They know that tap's fucking cut off.
As it should be. We spent billions and billions.
As it never should have been.
We spent billions and billions of dollars for Zelensky to buy fucking yachts and property in Florida. As it should be. If he needs money, he can sell one of those yachts.
So his wife was supposed to have bought like a Bentley yacht or something. A lot of stuff got said that was disinformation, or it was proved to be incorrect. But he did. There are 3 estates in the United States, 3 massive estates that he owns. And then he has citizenship in the United States. Like, that motherfucker's coming here. Of course he's going to negotiate surrender.
Well,
he's fucking coming to the United States.
Yeah.
He's been here. Secret Service detail busted it out he has a fucking Secret Service detail.
I don't know if he has a Secret Service detail, but
There was a dude.
again, he's a billionaire.
Dude, I want to say somebody came on Sean Ryan's show talking about that.
The question is, will the Russians sue for peace, or will the Russians? I mean, because again, Zelensky's the one that has run his mouth and said we won't accept anything but the Donbass returned and all that.
Oh, I don't think that's happening.
Well, no, the Russians aren't going to give any of that stuff back that they took in the first little incursion. The question is, do the lines change at all? The Russians have no reason to change the lines, and Zelensky does have a reason to capitulate because they're unfortunately they can't compete. It's you keep seeing these videos where the Ukrainians are talking about the meat massacre where there's just Russians are marching towards their machine guns, and unfortunately for the Ukrainians, which they should have an institutional memory of this, the Russians can do that. The Russians have always done that. They have used bodies to create time. So they use meat in order to create time to create other things. The biggest artillery barrage in World War II was done by the Russians on Berlin. Say 18,000 artillery pieces? It's fucking ridiculous. They're buying time. That's all they're doing. And then the other problem that the Ukrainians have is the Ukrainians are using advanced technology to kill individuals. It's like when we fire a goddamn a javelin at a dude in flip-flops with a fucking AK made in the 50s. Believe it or not, he won. The dude with the AK just won because I just spent $150,000 to kill that guy. So he actually won.
Well, I mean,
In the
dollars and cents.
It's the reason why we're in the fucking fiasco we're in right now. We're in that fiasco because we were shooting javelin missiles at dudes in flip-flops.
Well,
Do we currently?
That doesn't help his movement any, though. It doesn't help his fucking people on his team.
It most certainly does. It most certainly does. Do we currently control either one of those countries that we just spent billions and billions of dollars in to shoot dudes in flip-flops?
Well, it's like Afghanistan.
We don't control either one of them. They won. They literally that's a L for the U.S.
Have you heard about the Taliban?
That we're giving them millions of dollars every.
40 million.
Yeah.
40 million a week.
Yeah.
But they just took some U.S. citizens. Now, you never know what that means when they say U.S. citizens.
It usually means some aid workers, somebody there that was handing out Bibles.
They just took U.S. citizens. They have 2, if not 3, 2 confirmed hostages, and they want to trade for some prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. And the thought is this is their last hurrah, their last hopes before Trump's in office. So they expect to get the exchange.
Oh, probably. Biden will probably. I'm surprised Biden's just not letting them go free, anyways. There's the problem with when we say Taliban, it's a bunch of different. It would be more like I don't even want to say gangs because even gangs operate a little bit better than what they. You have all these fractured different groups, right? So they're all under the umbrella of the Taliban, but as the leader of the Taliban, when I talk to you and your group, I'm like, hey, you know, it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool if you went and did this thing, and then you decide whether or not if it was really cool to do that thing, and then you might be like, you know what? You're really not cutting off enough of that cheddar for me that you're getting from America. So I'm going to go snatch up these aid workers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just it's not a real organization from an organizational standpoint. We're giving that money. Here's the crazy thing. Is you have all these war hawks in Washington that want to fucking fight Iran. Right? That's why we've sent all those ships over there. That's why we're doing all that, because we're hoping that we can get in a fight with Iran. The money we're giving the Taliban is not so the Taliban will not attack Americans or not. We're giving it to them so they will attack Iranians. That's where they pushed all their forces up on the border between them and Iran. So the CIA is already secretly subverting, creating a war with Iran. We're already doing it. And they used $1 billion worth of they left $1 billion worth of U.S. equipment in Afghanistan in order to facilitate war with Iran.
So you expect that all that equipment will go to Iran?
No. The reality is,
or they'll use it against Iran.
They're using it.
Is Iraq and Iran friendly? No. Okay.
They're using it to. Again, some of that equipment is going to get used in the fight against Iran. Some of that equipment is going to get sold on the black market. Some of that equipment is just going to end up in Iran. Because it's a bunch of fucking hooligans running around up there. It's not a real military. So that's the problem with what the CIA is doing. They're just kind of like, let's see what happens. That's how you get Osama bin Laden in a cave in fucking Afghanistan attacking the United States.
You really think that happened?
Oh, yeah. We trained him to do it. We literally trained him to do it and sent him billions of dollars of U.S. technology to fight the Soviets. And in the end, honestly, we would be better off. We would be better off if in every CIA operation, if they treated their operatives like war dogs. When the fight is over, we're just like, hey, we're throwing you guys a big party. Why don't you come on down to the machine gun firing squad party and just kill them all? Because eventually they go, oh, all this training's pretty cool. It'd be cool if I could attack the people who've been feeding me for the last 10 years. So, I mean, we're not very good at looking at the downrange consequences of what we're doing right now.
Tying up loose ends.
Yeah, we're not very good at that. We like loose ends, I think.
So what do you predict is going to happen in the next week, maybe 30 days?
You know what? I am kind of, because of what happened, I am newly hopeful. I think we're going to have a peaceful transition.
I see a lot of people on the other side saying we need to be peaceful and unite, and
I think we're going to have a peaceful transition. Now, does that mean that somebody doesn't try and whack Trump again? There is a lot of lunatics running around with purple hair on that side of the fence that would like nothing more. That's all these people coming out saying, "Oh, you should have took gun lessons. You should have done better training."
oh yeah, like screaming and yelling. Have you seen any of it?
Those
Holy
people,
shit.
they're still out there, and the unfortunately the Democratic Party has whipped them into a fever that if somehow Donald Trump becomes president again, right, let's not forget he was already president for 4 years, and the world didn't end. Not only did the world end, but during those 4 years, your life was actually better, but has whipped those people into such a fury. His detail is going to have to be on point, because there's going to be, I think he's going to have more walk-ons, that more people are going to try and take him out the closer we get to the election. I do think, though, that the Democratic Party understands that they need to, that the reality is they spent 4 years destroying everything they said they were going to fix, and so I think they're ready to hand it over, because the one thing that a liberal knows, it's way easier to fucking scream from the cheap seats than to be in the driver's seat, right? They love being. Bernie Sanders does not want to be president. Bernie Sanders loves to be in the back seat going, billionaires, we got to tax the billionaires. He loves that, because that means he doesn't have to do anything, right? They really love the ability to not do anything and blame everything on everybody else. It's everybody else's fault. Now, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You haven't done a goddamn thing for inflation. You haven't made the United States more secure. You haven't closed the fucking border down. You haven't done shit. So it's easier. It's easier for them to go, maybe we should just give it back to the Republicans, and then we can blame them for everything, right? So I mean, maybe there's going to be a peaceful transition. I'm kind of hopeful that this has changed things, but who knows? Who fucking knows? They've turned their side into this religious, they're on a holy crusade as far as, killing anything that is remotely right. So we'll see.
Who do you think's responsible for it?
Oh, the DNC is the Democratic Party.
But I mean deeper than that. You think they're controlled by? You think it's China trying to cause chaos through AI and manipulation through social media in the United States, or you think it's really just fucking whack jobs in the United States? There's nothing beyond that.
I don't know, because the reality is when we think about social engineering and the Chinese. If the Chinese, they are, again, the Chinese...
They're imploding right now, it really seems.
Yeah, but the Chinese do manipulate social media to a certain degree.
Have you seen these phone farms? Uh-uh. There'll be one dude. Have you seen them, Brandel, the phone farms? There'll be one dude with like they got these fucking nice racks. They'll have like 400 cell phones on there. And it's just all fucking, they're commenting as 400 different users on videos and shit on social media.
I think, so, again...
We've seen some weird shit happen in the middle of our videos when we ramp up, and we'll be an hour into the video, and we'll just be having a conversation about whatever, and people will come in like fucking 20, 30, 40 of them at one time, and just be the polar opposite of everything that we're having a conversation about.
I mean, I'm sure that there's a little bit of manipulation on there, but I would say that from my perspective,
and we have a lot of them where they have AI in the name.
Hmm? I've had TikTok for probably maybe 4 years now. And before I was on TikTok, I don't know who told me to, I don't know who got me to look at TikTok. But before I was on TikTok, I had this very terrible view of the youth of America. Like that we're
You
done.
told me that, yeah. No,
That we're done.
there was
There's
a lot
no
of
fucking,
conservatives and stuff.
there's no way this country makes it another fucking 100 years or whatever. And then I got on TikTok, and I know the algorithm is pushing, but if you're trying to subvert what America is, then what you would really want to do is crush all those people who are, being patriotic. And basically what I got was a fucking whole shitload of 18 to 20 to 18-year-olds that were flying the flag, that were talking about America, who were doing those things that made me again change my view and be like, oh shit, maybe as the news is concerned, as the fucking bullshit network news is concerned, they're painting this horrible picture of what's going on in America, and in the reality, in real America, that's not what's happening. So it changed my view. I'm happy that there are young people out there that still understand what the Constitution does for them.
You have a dog kennel little spin for TikTok?
Yes.
Is it very active?
No, I don't think.
The Pulling the Thread podcast
I don't
is
know.
big there.
I don't know. if it is
I've
or
lost control of my TikTok.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, I had 60,000 on there, and all of a sudden one day I just wasn't in there. I can see it. I get in there. I do the recover password. Never fucking comes to me. I haven't had control of my TikTok. I haven't used TikTok in 6 months probably.
Is the TikTok blowing up? Maybe you got maybe there's a Chinese kid going.
No, there's no posts on there.
Doop,
It's
doop.
not like somebody's using it.
Well, you know what? Maybe we reach out. Hey, if you're in China and you've got 400,
Can I have my TikTok back?
can you bump the TikTok Pulling the Thread podcast up a little bit?
Well, the Pulling the Thread podcast is a separate podcast,
Right.
separate too, and it is growing. But the John Will, like I listen to TikTok, like I use TikTok a lot. I've just lost. I can go in and create a new one, but it does fucking why grow another one that I'm just going to lose control of? Is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
All right, so we just had the SOE party.
We had the SOE party. Yeah, it was
Give me your highlights. What were your highlights?
a half-naked guy running around with the fucking helmet on, shooting AR-15s. That was my highlight.
He was shooting a lot.
He was shooting a lot. Yeah.
He had a lot.
Wait,
He has lots of tattoos.
how many did he do?
Tattoos?
Yeah. When I got here, he was doing one.
I know he did a husband and wife. I don't know how many were done.
Do you know? No? Oh, right, yeah. That'd be interesting to know how many tattoos he did, because he spent a lot of time shooting guns.
Yeah. Well, he'd ask me. He's like, "Hey, is it cool if I don't tattoo the whole time?" I'm like, "No, I'd rather have you running around with us."
Yeah.
He showed up the night before, camped in his rooftop tent. That's him.
That was him. Oh.
Yeah.
We need to get... Is he the one that you've been talking to this whole time about all the stuff you've been getting?
Yeah. He's the one that got Brandel all the stuff.
Yeah, we need to get him some real MVGs. That pair that he has is...
Well, what he has is it's electronic or whatever.
Yeah. He needs the real deal. He's way too cool to be running around with some...
So I don't know what his money situation is, but I'm sure he owns a tattoo place. His wife tattoos. He tattoos. He runs an online school that Brandel films for him every week, several days a week, a lot of times. He's got a homestead, and then he came out here. We walked the property, and then the next day he's like, "Man, I really liked your greenhouse, so I built one." And he had a greenhouse together.
Nice.
Like, I like that dude.
Yeah. Oh, I like him too.
He tattoos really fast.
Shot the flamethrower, no shirt.
He shot the flamethrower.
Yeah, like a gangster.
No shirt.
No shirt.
He was shooting with Overton was up there shooting. Overton can fucking fire an AR, and you'll swear to God that thing's full auto. He gets about 3 or 4 rounds out of it, and then he's got to kind of like, get it to do it again.
So there was no full autos out there?
Well, I'm sure. No, there was some full autos out there, but when you watch Overton's video on the deuce and a half shooting,
Legal full autos.
yeah, legals. But he can get a few rounds out of there where you snap your head and you're like, what the fuck was that? But all that brass was hitting fucking Brandon with his shirt off.
Well, I mean, there's a risk involved.
And all the
in
comments are like, "Hey, feed your boy a hamburger," or what was that when they did?
I'll bet it's funny.
We Are the World or whatever, where they're doing all the hunger.
I'll bet money that, you know how much he weighs?
I would say 150.
But I'll bet
He looks a lot skinnier in the video than he does in real life.
But I'll bet money that he is his ideal weight for his height, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
When people are talking about you need to feed somebody,
No, you don't need to feed that kid. That kid,
he's probably his ideal weight. He's going to outlive us all.
Well, I walked through my gym, and he was the first one in the gym working out that morning.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about feeding him a sandwich. He knows when to eat.
He eats Uncrustables every day.
Oh my God, is he like you? Is he a
Yeah.
gas station feeder?
Yeah.
You guys, man. The only reason why there's hot dogs in there every week is because of you.
Do you want them?
I just ate 2 of them.
But do you want to continue to have them? Because he makes those for you.
I mean, that's fine.
Would you prefer to just have real
but
food?
here's the problem. I don't understand how I got lumped into your hot dog world.
Because what did you just eat in there?
Hot dogs. Well, because it was either that or lasagna, and that's way, way too many carbs. So it's what is it? Chicken lips and beaver butts or lasagna. So I went with the scrapings. I went from the scrapings of the meat factory that gets stuffed into the hot dog. So good.
I know.
I think that's part of the Satanism.
The scrapings?
No, they feed you human DNA so that your soul cannot pass on to heaven. That's why there's always human DNA in all the hot dogs.
You can't keep somebody out of heaven through trickery.
Okay.
You can't keep them out of heaven for trickery.
Maybe they think they can.
You have to. No, you have to ultimately make the decision
Maybe the other
that you
side
don't
believes
want
that.
to. I mean, they believe a lot of dumb shit. They believe a lot of dumb shit, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. You know, again, if it was really that complicated, why would you want to go anyways?
So what are you doing for the rest of the week?
What am I doing for the rest of the week?
Any immediate plans?
No. Well, I could probably do it in Clarksville. I need to charge up all those paintball tanks because I'm gonna do some more flamethrower stuff.
What are you going to do when you catch some shit on fire out there?
Watch it burn.
Okay.
The whole world.
You know the fire's still burning.
I know it is. That's going to burn for a month.
I'm going to have to get a damn root rake.
Especially the way it's all, piled up and covered. That stuff's going to burn forever.
I got to get a bucket that's just, skeletonized. They call it a root rake, so that I can lift that up and pull the solid pieces of wood out of the soot.
Well, it's not just the solid pieces. The reality is, I don't know who you had running that burn pile, but it's got concrete and fucking
Well, my guys put all
metal and all kinds of crazy shit in there.
A lot of times when we've done a burn pile in the past, it actually burns all that shit up.
So, we didn't.
We let it go for 3 years.
It wasn't.
A lot of it was rotted down.
Yeah, there wasn't
it was
enough
growing new trees and shit.
There wasn't enough
Fuel.
combustible and enough fuel in there.
So I think if I just get a frame like a skeleton, like a root bucket, I can kind of pick that up. The soot will fall through, and then I can take all the solids out and then kind of separate them. There's concrete and metal in there and shit. My guys spent fucking 6 months putting all the debris there rather than just burn shit. So it's created another task.
When's the next party? Are we going to have another party?
I don't have a party on the radar.
No Halloween. October's coming. And
Yeah,
since we're not going,
we're doing SRF in October.
And since the revolution has been canceled,
We're doing Self-Reliance Festival in October.
we might as well have a part. Oh,
Why don't we just put all the Halloween shit up?
I mean SRF is cool, but it's not SOE cool.
It's just a different animal. I
I
don't
know it is
see throwing an SOE party a week or 2 weeks after SRF.
Okay.
Because most of the people that come, they're going to have already been here for SRF, a lot of them.
All right.
Why? Do you need a Halloween party?
I don't know. It's something.
You want me to just find a cool Halloween party? We'll go to it.
Do you have cool Halloween parties in your town? I bet you do. Where does your
When's your
don't
furry
you have-
convention?
don't you have Hell's Angels?
We
When did they? What are they having for their Halloween party? I'll bet it's off the shizzle.
I can take
I'll
you-
bet there's furries there. There's midgets. I'll bet everything's there.
I can take you to the Renegades bike parties.
What's that look like? Is that an electric bike ring?
No, they've been around for a long time,
Yeah.
but they have like a huge stage outside by my grandma's old like property.
Was your grandma in the gang?
Probably, I don't know. But they have a stage with stripper poles everywhere outside, and it's like a whole compound. It's pretty cool.
What a life. What a life.
They have the Bigfoot Festival there.
Yeah. And a furry convention, right?
All the furry conventions.
We have everything.
I want to go to the furry convention as a dog catcher. Just dressed up like a dog catcher with licenses.
You know, every time I ask one of those how the tail's attached, because I thought it's a butt plug, they really get upset about that shit when you ask them.
It's a different. That's two different dynamics. It is. It's two different dynamics. The furries are making real costumes. The butt plug
Well,
that's usually
The
the fox
furry
ears.
costumes are very expensive.
They can be. Yeah.
Yeah, thousands and thousands
I
of
see them
dollars.
on Marketplace all the time, and I'm like, why would you just sell like?
I bought a hippo skull from this chick, and she makes furry costumes. And her fucking, like, she sells a set of gloves for $1,000. The head's fucking a couple grand.
You gotta think you only buy once.
Well, I mean, unless you want to have multiple
Yeah,
characters.
They'll have multiple. You don't just get one. There's no way.
You got to have a 2-bedroom apartment, so your furries each have their own room.
Yeah, you don't just buy one. There's no way. I mean, you might want to be a fox one weekend and a grizzly bear the next. Would a grizzly bear even be? I don't ever see grizzly bears. It's always like a dog or a cat
Or wolf.
or a wolf.
It's like
or
an
a fox.
anime. Cartoonish.
You ever see grizzly bears?
It's always a fox I see.
Yeah.
I saw a good comparison the other night, the difference between a black bear and a brown bear. And she had a skull of a black bear. It still had all the flesh. I don't know if she's a taxidermist or what, but she's like, a black bear will eat your marshmallow and like chomps its teeth. And then she brings out a brown bear. A brown bear will eat you. And the fucking skull's like 4 times bigger.
Bro, have you ever seen the video of the black bear taking the dude's arm? Mm-mm. There's these stupid assholes are in I think Yosemite, maybe Yosemite, or I don't know what park they're in, and a fucking black bear comes out of the woods, and everybody that's sitting at the table like runs, and then this dude's like, he just wants a hamburger and takes a fucking hamburger over there, and that fucking bear grabs onto his arm and spends like a couple of seconds until he pulls that fucking dude's arm off. Takes that arm into the woods.
I like the videos of the guys usually on a golf course. It looks like Joe Biden usually messing with the alligator.
Oh yeah,
And the alligator gets a hold of him and starts rolling him.
yeah, that's awesome.
Man,
Why would you fuck with a dinosaur? Like that's a real
I see how
dinosaur.
it could happen.
It's a real dinosaur.
I see how it can happen.
Yeah, but usually you're in a boat with a guy named Joe Bob, and you've been drinking way too much, and that's how it happens. Not
Well, I mean,
let me get my golf ball back.
but an alligator's only one step removed from a blue belly fence lizard.
Okay.
And I've caught a lot of those. Alligator, lizard, snakes. I see how it could happen.
Okay. You're not 65 on the golf course. I don't know. I don't think you mess with the dinosaur. The thing its only purpose is to eat. That's it. It's like a shark. Why would you? You don't need to fuck with a shark either. Its only purpose is to eat until you kill one. You see what happens when a killer whale kills a great white shark?
What happens?
They can smell. It's crazy. The great whites can smell their own kind being killed for ungodly amount of distance, and they fucking bolt to the other side of the planet. So I don't know if you saw it's been a minute, 10 years ago maybe, or 8 years ago, they did that big thing where they were catching all the great whites, bringing them up and then tagging them. And so they're tagging these great whites, and they're following them around the world. And every now and then these sharks would do some shit that they couldn't figure out. Like they would dive to depths that they're not normally at. They would take off to the other side of the world, and they couldn't figure out why the fuck this was happening until one of the sharks that was tagged got eaten by a fucking killer whale. And then they correlated all that with the sharks just fucking as soon as that great white blood hits the water, those fucking sharks are gone.
Interesting.
They don't want nothing to do with that shit. So the great killer of the ocean is actually a whale, not
They had
shark.
multiple people bit. I think it was in Miami a couple weeks ago. A chick got her arm bit off, but they had, I think there was like 6-7 people bit, and it was not the same shark. Like that day, they decided sharks were going to bite people in Miami.
It's a breeding ground for sharks this time of year, every year.
Still, I mean, you don't hear about multiple shark bites. You hear like one a year every few years.
Yeah.
You see the video of the girl with her leg hanging off that they pulled out?
Just the surfer chick,
Uh-huh. It's
a long time ago.
No, it's just happened. It's like
Oh,
her
no.
entire calf is cut like teeth, and it's just dangling there.
Hmm.
It's gross.
Yeah, there's a real famous surfer chick got her arm bit off.
Yeah, maybe they just don't like
Surfers.
surfers.
They say they mistake them for seals.
Yeah, because of the way they're on the board. They did a whole Shark Week did a whole thing where they made these surfboards and put
Fake seals on
fake
'em.
not fake seals, but just an outline of a person, and then just drug them where there were great whites, and those great whites were just fucking hitting the shit out of them. And it's probably because they think they're seals, because they almost all the time.
Well, they come out. I mean, seals sit on buoys and shit, and sharks come up and grab them.
But almost all the time, they bite and release. They're not, once they taste that gas station hamburger food in your system, they're like, oh, ugh, this isn't seal.
The farts are different.
Yeah, the farts are different. So they usually bite and release. It's not
The problem is
common for them to feed.
for them to bite you. That's
Yeah.
enough.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because
the
the reality
problem.
is they're trying to they're trying to they when they go to bite, they're going to bite for an instant kill, so they don't have to fuck around with you. They'll just bite and then come back and bite some more. And anyways, yeah, sharks. How do we get on sharks? It's not even Shark Week.
It was last
Oh, was
week.
it Shark Week
I
last
thought
week?
it was last week.
Maybe.
Man, I have not turned a television on in years. I have no idea.
And yet you have don't you have like a 79-inch
85.
85?
You've been there probably every time I've turned that television on.
Yeah, probably pretty close. Pretty close. It's very rare that it's even with it's more common that everybody's just sitting up there and the TV's not on.
If I sit on that couch, I'm fucking
Yeah, he's
falling
done.
asleep.
He's fucked. He's
Hey.
done. He's wrecked. He's asleep. It's like
Yeah.
going to a movie with John. It doesn't matter what the movie is. By the time they get finished rolling the credit, by the time they get the introduction, John's like, "What? What? The movie's over. What? It was a good movie? It's a great movie, John. You missed it. You were asleep."
You have to be attacked, or you have to fight off one of them.
Okay, one.
Which one would you fear more? A full-size Komodo dragon or a crocodile?
Oh, I take the Komodo dragon.
Full size. Are we out of water?
Yes.
Crocodile.
That's the one you fear most?
No,
Or you're picking a fight?
I'd pick the fight the crocodile versus the Komodo dragon. The Komodo's a fucking landlubber. All he got to do is bite you, and he's got that fucking
Venom.
stinky
It's actually bacteria in the saliva.
bacteria that
Because
your
they eat
legs
so
gonna rot
much
off.
carrion rotted animals.
I feel like I know this is very
Yeah, they can nick a goat, and the goat goes off and dies.
I know this is very arrogant, but I feel like I could outrun a crocodile. I feel like I could. They got them little stubby legs.
Depends
I
on
feel
the
like,
territory, I guess.
I feel like I could outrun them.
Don't
And they wake.
Komodo dragons get like...
Komodo dragons can move. They can they got a little burst of speed on you.
You're going to have to go to the Galapagos for that.
Is that the only place they're located?
Yeah.
I think so.
Or the San Diego Zoo.
They have a few of them.
Well, that's the only place we would run into the alligator, so we could do it at the San Diego Zoo if they want to.
Their
Well-
max land speed sprint is only 12 to 13 miles per hour.
Oh, I can run faster.
Yeah, you can run
Okay,
faster
you
than
can
that.
outrun them then.
Let's see a crocodiles.
It's going to be like 42. Crocodile's going to haul ass.
18 miles per hour.
I can outrun a crocodile. I can do it.
Have you been rucking?
No. Nope. Everything's falling off the planet. The world is coming to it's not coming to an end. It's going to be fine. We're going to do a handshake at the White House. Donald Trump's going to go in there. We're immediately going to go to war with Iran.
On behalf of Israel.
Just on behalf of us. I mean, who cares?
So are they going to have a draft?
No, they won't need to draft it. These are all volunteer. They'll do just like we did in Afghanistan. They'll be rotating guys in there for fucking 20 years and shit.
Is the military going to still be like furries and shit?
It depends.
Is Trump going to be able to shut down all that silliness?
You have the same problem. You have the same problem that the Secret Service has everywhere else.
But is Trump going to be able to fix that?
After the first time we get punched in the face, maybe. Yeah. But going into office and being like, stop all this silly shit? No. Because the problem is the leadership is already in place. Those people are already there. And so
the infection's already festering.
Yeah, it's already there. You have to bloody it. Because what'll happen is that
you're probably gonna have to cut some limbs off.
What'll happen is once you get, for example, I am sure that there are, not 100% sure, but I'm pretty 99% sure that there are people that were on Trump's detail that are no longer on his detail, not because they were fired or anything, but because they're like, oh shit, that was some real shit. I need to go over here and work at the fucking Xerox copy machine in the Secret Service building, not out there on the front lines. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the same thing that'll happen. That's not me. I'm not touching anything.
Is it raining?
It can't be raining.
No, it's just Jeff.
No.
I think it's his air. It kicked on.
He makes a lot of noise.
Well, that's the point. Make noise.
He's got a white noise generator around.
So that'll be the same thing that happens everywhere. They'll have to finally execute the mission that they're getting paid for. They won't be able to do it, and some will get moved to different places, and some will self-select to go do something else.
They're gonna get rid of the IRS.
No,
they're gonna get rid of the ATF.
None of that shit. They're not getting rid of any of those agencies.
IRS is firing a bunch of those new hires.
Good.
Like a lot of them.
Good. You can't. I mean, it's a shit show, anyways, to think that you're. I mean, the reality is those new hires were going after. They were going after young women who were waiting tables and working OnlyFans videos. Come on, fucking. You've got enough money. The reality is the government makes enough money. If we can give Zelensky billions and billions of dollars every month, we don't need to tax waitresses' fucking money. We don't need to do that.
Well, when they take the tax money, it doesn't go into a bank account and then they give it to Ukraine, right? That's some bullshit they have us convinced of.
No, they just
create brand new money, and they take your money, so you still have the smoke screen that the system hasn't collapsed.
Well, I mean, it hasn't.
It kind of has collapsed.
No, it hasn't collapsed. That's why we're able to continue to do this and drive around silly and do dumb shit, because it hasn't collapsed. It hasn't collapsed because of what was going on in Ukraine, because of what was going on in Afghanistan. We're a war economy. Contrary to what people think, is the United States is a war economy. We need war to sustain what we're doing. Those billions of dollars that we sent to Ukraine, they went into Ukraine. All the thieves in Ukraine took their piece, whatever it was, even if it was just $1 million. They all took their little piece and bought their yachts and their Ferraris. And then it came right back to the United States. And it went to defense contractors. And those defense contractors who are making all that fucking shit, that money comes back into our economy. That's how they're propping up the economy. They're propping it up through sending billions of dollars to fucking Ukraine. Because you can't, war profiteering is illegal in the United States, even though it seems like it's not illegal. War profiteering is illegal. As a company, I can't charge $1 billion for this wallet for the armed forces because I could be charged with war profiting. When the war in Ukraine started, the Department of Defense came out and told all those contractors, war profiting is okay. So you can charge Ukraine whatever the fuck you want for whatever equipment you want. Now, from an economy standpoint, that's great, right? If you think about it. From an economy standpoint, that's great. They buy a fucking law rocket and it costs them, I don't know, let's say it costs them $50,000 for that law rocket. When we buy them, they're $250. Well, the problem is we've been we've been doing this for so long. Now the price of a law rocket is $10,000, right? We all we're doing is fucking ourselves in the end. But when the people in power don't care about the long term effect of what they're doing, they only care about the short term, and that's keeping the economy from really collapsing. And that is how we're staying alive, is we're staying alive through war profiteering. It's pretty simple. It's how we've been doing it for 25 years. I mean, you think about the amount of money that we spent to occupy Iraq and Afghanistan. It didn't cost us that much to fight fucking World War II.
So you think we're going to go in and overthrow Iran?
And the goal of those people in the Department of Defense is never to overthrow. It's to destabilize. In destabilizing, the country will overthrow itself, and we don't care what comes of that, because a destabilized Iran is a area of the world where we will have to spend money, right? The only reason why we can have the Navy and the Air Force and Marine Corps and all the things that we have, the only reason why we can spend billions of dollars on defense and not healthcare or education or whatever, is because we have those places in the world that at given times will flare up and cause problems for the United States. That is the point. The point is, the world you can't make a perfect world. You can't make a perfect world. If you made a perfect world, how would our economy stay afloat? How would our fucking military? You don't need 11 aircraft carriers if the world is perfect. You only need it if the fucking world is kind of perfect, but some fucking dudes from the desert wearing towels on their heads are shooting drones or floating drones at ships in the fucking middle. Come on, man. Really? That's the threat? That's the problem. The problem is we're manufacturing these threats. The Houthi issue could be dealt with in 30 fucking seconds. If we really wanted to. If we really fucking, you think about the apparatus that is the United States of America, the CIA, the fucking NSA, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. I honestly believe if Donald Trump becomes president, if he was president right now, and he went to, I don't know what they call the commander of the Coast Guard, the admiral, maybe. He went to the admiral of the Coast Guard and went, really want you to fix this Houthi problem. You got a weekend. That the Coast Guard would be able to, the Coast Guard would fucking, really? You're gonna let us get in the game? The fucking Coast Guard could do it. Right? It's especially if they're like, we just don't want this problem anymore. Fix it. The Coast Guard could handle it. We don't, but that's not what we want. What we want is, I mean, think about the naval presence that we have over in that area of the world right now. That's millions and millions of dollars. Millions and millions of dollars just to keep those ships fueled, food, crewed. That's millions and millions of dollars. That's what they want. They want that. The United States wants that. We want to have that fucking shit going all the time. Because, again, aircraft carrier pulls into fucking Boobaloo, wherever, to go on Libo. They're pumping. The minute they park that aircraft carrier in Pattaya Beach, they just put $20 million into that economy. Of course, not only do we want it, everybody else wants it too. It's a lie to think that nobody wants us to be doing that shit.
You think those ships still travel with pallets of cash?
Yeah.
Because that's what has to be used out in the local economies? Is that typically...
Cash is king, right? Cash is king. Obviously the big ticket items, like, I highly doubt they do like they used to. But the big ticket items, like where the ship parks, because believe it or not, even anchored off the coast of fucking wherever, if we're liboing in, they're paying for that anchorage. All that stuff is probably paid electronically now, but they're still putting $20 million on that ship in the purser's office so that those guys can go ashore and do whatever it is they're going to do and spend that money. So, I mean, It's a necessary because of the way that we have formulated our country, because we have allowed the Department of Defense or DoD contractors to actually rule the world. It's a necessary evil. We can't, unless we come up with something, like, unless Elon Musk or someone like Elon comes up with something revolutionary that will create billions and billions of dollars, national defense is the easiest. It's the easiest thing to do because there's always some shit.
Well,
somewhere.
plus it's what we already do.
Yeah, no, it's
So if we switch it, there's going to be that fighting till the death, gripping to not be drug out of those
Well, that's
holes
what I'm
because
saying.
those are the guys that are running shit. That is the permanent government.
Yeah, that's Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump saying, "Sorry guys, I can't pull out of Iraq. The permanent government won't let me." That's the truth. The truth is, it's a financial windfall for not only the country but
And they're all tied in with oil and pharmaceutical and
Oh, yeah.
everything else that's fucking bad for us.
well, it's how we keep the country afloat, really, by making these billion dollar deals. You could even say that the mandatory vaccine was more about propping up the economy and less about healthcare, because billions of dollars, the U.S. government paid billions of dollars to have those fucking shots made.
Yeah, well, look what's coming from that.
No, they don't. Again, you have to. The reality is,
You're gonna-
government
like,
doesn't
we're not
care.
We're not even gonna see the clear picture of that for
10 years.
another generation.
The government doesn't.
Look at the sterility rates right now and the decline in fucking birth.
Well, that's a common occurrence. The more educated, the more first
Yes,
world you become, the less children
however,
you
there's
have.
massive miscarriages right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, we're not going to see it for 10 years. But
Yeah.
part of that is they want to let the people who enforce the thing die when they come out and be like, "Oh, goddamn, Ronald Reagan was a terrible president," only because he's already dead, right? They're not going to speak ill of people until after they're dead. But I think it's more of the lines of then people can't be charged with
Do
crimes.
people actually think Ronald Reagan was a terrible president? Because you always hear him touted as being a
No,
great president.
there's a bunch of people on the left who think he was a terrible
On
president.
the left.
Yeah, of course.
Why is that? Because he wasn't for their thing.
Yeah, it's a pollution of the mind that they get on the left side. They don't want to have logical thinking about, like, for example, get an example. Is Joe Biden a terrible president?
Yes,
Why is he a terrible president?
because he's destroyed the economy.
Because he's destroyed the economy. Okay. Did Joe Biden destroy the economy? Or did certain elements within the economic system
Correct.
allow that to happen? Right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
I don't believe Joe Biden fucking controls anything.
Outside of it was actually funny. The gas station. He's like, I bought these sodas, and they were $14.
For how many?
5, and I bought them. I paid for them. That's the crutch of addiction, people. Paid for them, and then he's like, pre-COVID, those would have been $8. Inflation is a problem, right? Inflation is a problem. One could say that we don't know if inflation would have still been a problem if Donald Trump would have been president, right? We don't know. It may have still been, if this was Donald's last 4 years, it may have still been a problem. We just don't know. Outside of that financial portion of it, like, Joe Biden hasn't affected me in one way. Outside of having to pay more for food and shit, his policies don't affect me at all. I don't have to do diversity hires. I mean, his policies don't affect me at all. So it's the same thing when Trump was president. The reality is his policies didn't affect 90% of the population. He's just the dude there in the White House. Presidents don't really do that. It's that permanent government that keeps fucking everything up. We should just start over.
Start over.
Yeah, we should start over. But we're not gonna. I think they're gonna do a peaceful transition. The Democrats are gonna leave this mess to
So-
Republicans to fix.
What do you think about everybody saying that we were on the brink of civil war and we would have had massive civil? What if they'd actually killed Trump? Like, you got a Vec and like you got some pretty big names. Like, you guys just almost fucking had a hot war.
I don't know if that. I don't know if Trump had been assassinated. I don't know if that would have been enough. I really don't. I you know, when I say this all the time, and I'm proved right every time. We're too comfortable.
What do you think about all the people on the left going, we need to slow down, we need to, you know, just have, we're all on the same team now? I think they realize that they have lost, and they are so close to having to fucking, you know, pay the price for some of those people.
Well, I mean, that's the issue. The issue is how far does the pendulum swing, right? How far?
Well, I've been saying for fucking 4 years it's going to swing way back beyond where any of us want it to be.
How far does the pendulum swing? If we do if there's a peaceful transition of power, right? If the Democrats concede the presidency, and there's a peaceful transition of power, there might be a little bit of fucking hoo-ha going on, but I think the reality is there's going to be something else that happens that's going to focus people thinking about. I mean, because we're really a 15-minute culture anyway.
So we're gonna have something to overshadow it.
Yeah,
so
something.
Obama's not gonna want to leave the White House, but he's gonna quietly leave the White House.
They're gonna quietly leave the White House, and they're gonna turn all this fucking soup sandwich over to the Republicans. There's probably gonna be some hoo-ha, some flag waving, some patriotism. Sorry that you don't like patriotism on the left. There's gonna be some of that shit going on, but then we're probably immediately gonna go fucking to war. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, I forgot all about the rainbow flag because we're in Iran now, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's they're going to do something that's going to distract. You know, it's what is it? Bread and circus. Mm-hmm. They'll do something that distracts everybody from the thing that was last year.
Yeah, you'll have a false flag or some shit.
So I don't think, you know, when the lie that the left keeps telling about how, when Republicans are running the White House, they're just going to be killing everybody. It's just not. It's just a lie. It's never true.
I just saw a dude. I've got a guy on my Facebook page that's a customer of ours, and he is so fucking anti-Trump and it's on this Agenda 25 or whatever, man.
Right.
And he's a black dude. And to hear every post he makes is like, slavery's coming back. They're gonna try to eradicate him. They're gonna stand up the Nazi Party and kill all the just crazy shit. And I've read, like, we stood here, we read the pieces of that. What is that called? 25. What is it? Project 25.
Yeah, Project 25.
None of that's in there.
And it's all
it's not fucking there.
But the reality is, if you do the due diligence. If you do the due diligence, so this just came out recently. If you do the due diligence, Project 25 is being pushed by the same people who pushed
the Democrats.
Act Blue, who pushed the fucking the Russian hoax.
Yeah,
who pushed the dossier.
That's who's putting the money behind it.
All this is disinformation to get their base riled up.
Like, this dude was saying that Trump posted a picture of Joe Biden tied up and dead, and I Googled, I couldn't even find it. They did.
He did.
Trump did?
Yeah, Trump did. Trump did. It was on the Daily Show. It was on Jon Stewart's Daily Show. You know what it was? It wasn't Biden dead. It was a dude had a wrap put on his truck. So he had a wrap put on his truck. And on the tailgate was Joe Biden laying down, tied up.
In the
So
thing.
it looked like he was laying in the back of his truck with a bunch of American flags and shit on there. Now, even Jon Stewart.
That's probably Forgiato. It's probably his truck for real. I'll bet it's Forgiato below the wrapper.
Even Jon Stewart was like, that's not really Joe Biden. How fucking lunatic are you people that are running around talking about? It's just, and all Trump did was forward it.
It's the same thing when there's like, Trump said that skinheads and Nazis were good people.
Didn't have a problem, didn't have a problem when comedians were holding Trump's severed head. Didn't have a problem with that.
You see Jack Black?
Fuck those people. Jack Black. Fuck Jack
Black. They canceled his tour and dissolved the band over that.
Yeah, because it was dumb.
Sure.
You don't.
Don't
get
miss.
Don't get into politics, man. Just don't. I don't know why Hollywood people think like, you see George Clooney. George Clooney's like,
Yeah, he raised $30 million
all that
for
money.
Biden. Now he's like,
I don't think he's the same man that he was. Motherfucker, he has had dementia since 2019. You knew it. Now you just feel like shit because you convinced all your fucking friends
well, they knew
to give
he
all that
wasn't.
money.
They knew he wasn't in charge.
Yeah. No,
They knew.
This is not something new. That was the whole point. That's the thing. It's amazing how naive and gullible or that the left can be. The whole point of the debate was to put Joe on stage and have him look like shit so everybody on CNN could go, "Oh my God, we didn't know." Oh, fuck, you didn't know.
So did you buy any new surplus gear?
I didn't.
Didn't get anything?
I didn't get
Did
anything.
you look through it?
Yeah, I looked at it, but I didn't get anything. There was a couple of things that I really wanted, but I was like, once Operation Flamethrower went into effect, I didn't even get a taco, bro. I missed the taco truck.
There was 3 of them. The tacos were really good.
Yeah, I missed the taco truck. Once Operation Flamethrower went, I was just fully consumed, and when it was done, I was like, walked over there. I'm like, I'm going to get a taco, and the guy's like, man, they left a half hour ago.
I feel like you need a couple of those flamethrowers. So you fire one,
Yeah,
and then your
fire and load.
Squire reloads one for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the way to go.
Yeah, I think next year we're not going to have a party ever again. You just said that. I was going to say I think next year
Say that.
there'll be 2, but if we're never going to have a party again.
And we'll stack up. We'll just stack up pallets for the next burn pile, because we're not really burning stuff anymore.
No, we're not.
We're gonna get a giant wood chipper.
A giant wood chipper, like the one that those guys from
The power company.
no, not the power company. You remember the one that they had on loan from
Yes. Caterpillar.
Caterpillar? That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Where you can throw real trees in it.
Yeah, it has a winch and shit. But
Yeah.
the way to do it is you don't have dudes throw trees in it. You use an excavator to feed it.
Yeah. No,
And have you seen a tub grinder? You load it with a full size excavator from the top. It's like a giant bowl that spins around, and it fucking throws out wood chips.
nice.
That's called a tub grinder.
But you have to bring in a lot of trees for that.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be easier to just get the city to drop them off?
they don't. They're not wood. Nobody's cutting wood chips anymore. They use a grapple truck now.
Yeah.
They don't use crews. They just realized, like, number one, they couldn't get labor after COVID. Like, there is
Yeah,
none.
okay, all right.
So they use a grapple truck, and they just dump it in canyons. They let it just fucking rot. They don't wood chip it. Hardly anybody wood chips anymore.
Seems like such a waste.
It's a waste for us. I mean, it was fucking great. We wouldn't be able to do what we do had we not got all those wood chips.
Yeah. Still be Rock City up there.
Yeah. And remember, Jack was like,
Yeah.
why is John covering that place in wood chips? Nothing's going to grow there for a decade. It's the only way shit's growing here is because all those wood chips.
No, I know. It worked out good.
We just go next door, and when they dump all their shit, we just put it all in the wood chipper.
He's got all them signs up now that says, you can't dump shit here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got signs up.
Well, that's
all
because
along the thing.
people are dumping there.
Yeah.
I think the city's still dumping there, though. Because that was all a canyon,
Right.
and
They
they
filled
dumped.
it.
They filled it. Yeah, and now it's kind of level, so he's got some ground that he didn't have.
Yeah.
There was a cliff before. I assume that people are dumping trash and shit there is why those signs are there.
Probably.
But I mean, we can have, these big wood companies that do debris cleanup and shit. We can get them to bring it in here.
Actually, what's the difference?
And the real answer is we take that fucking fence down that I hate back there, that we paid all that fucking money for, and we make it easier for those trucks to get in and out of there. Because
fence?
even though the chain link fence
Uh-huh.
has the dual gates on it, it's still
Yeah.
hard to maneuver. Like when he pulled the 5-ton out, it still barely clears each side.
Yeah.
So we just put up a fence that looks like this one, and we have a giant fucking opening. We run 2 10-foot gates and have a 20-foot opening or something in there.
Nice.
All right, you ready to do Patreon?
Yeah, let's do Patreon. Are there any questions? Brandon, are there any
there
questions
is.
on Patreon?
There's a lot of them.
Like 2?
Guys, if you're not on Patreon, join Patreon.
Yeah,
Jump
join
on
Patreon.
there. I actually made a chat yesterday. I was going to give some stuff away. I just had a few minutes where I was going to sit down and kind of test it. I've been trying to figure out how to do giveaways because a lot of people listening will say they are somebody, and the guy that actually tells us the guy we actually pick on there as a winner, somebody else will email us and go, hey, I'm the guy with their address, and we send it to somebody who's not the guy. So we're trying to figure out how to do that. So I went on there, made a chat, and 15, 20 minutes later, because I was going to get whoever the first person that commented on that chat, I was going to give them some free shit. And nobody commented, so I deleted the comment after about 15 minutes. I couldn't sit there any longer. But we're going to do Patreon, and we will see you guys next week. EMP Shield, if you use code SOE, it'll give you $50 off your order. Premier Body Armor, code SOE, will give you 10% off your order. They make armor panels for the COP rig, the AKM4 micro rig, our FUPA, and our FUPA XL. Redcon 1, code SOE Gear gets you 25% off. Yeah.
Got a code for Redcon. Nice.
Yep.
Should I be taking that? I don't even know what it is.
They got a good protein powder, man. I've got a low carb protein powder. It tastes great. When I want ice cream, I take that shit, put a couple ice cubes, a little bit of milk, and a banana. It's better than ice cream.
Sounds good.
You need something for what?
I need some Redcon that I can put on my shoulder.
For pain or what?
Yeah.
You need Amanda's shit.
My shit is fucked up.
Hey, how many guys have you seen say that Amanda's salves and stuff work?
It does work.
Hundreds of them.
No, I know.
That's what you need.
But no, because I have the salve.
What?
I really need somebody to put it on.
Yeah, you need an assistant.
Yeah, I need like a full-time masseuse.
Concubine.
That would be nice. Not a jester.
Well, I mean, if you got a helicopter, my massage therapist would come see you.
So I got to get a helicopter.
Well, because it's 2 minutes in a fucking helicopter.
That's true.
You moved your ass an hour away.
Yeah, but I mean, where can I land a helicopter here? You got too many power lines.
Bullshit. You can land a helicopter. They land a helicopter next door all the time.
You gotta bury all your
Life Flight
utilities.
was coming in the other night, and my neighbor hit me up. And he's like, dude, you just landed a helicopter. I'm like, come on, give me credit. Our helicopter would be way bigger than that. Were you here when the Blackhawk buzzed the compound?
Yeah, flew around.
Yeah.
I had it seems a little outside of their range, but the other day I had like 4 Apache helicopters fly straight over the place. I'm like, oh.
But this was low. Like they flew around.
Oh, yeah, no,
they were throwing rocks around in here.
Yeah, I was here when that happened.
Like I had shit in my eyes.
Somebody was like,
We
hey,
met those guys.
Buzz the tower.
Yeah, we met those guys. They went from the range to here. We met them at the first Self-Reliance Festival.
Buzz the tower.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here, do Patreon questions. Make sure you join our Patreon. Dog Kennel and Little Spoon. Jeff's got it. Dog Kennel, Little Spoon, Patreon, as well as memberships. Gives a ton of gear away over
Giving
there.
stuff away.
Lots of it. What are you giving away right now?
2 Garmin.
5,000 rounds of ammo. You're giving a truck away?
Yes.
What?
Tonka truck.
Deuce and a half.
Yes.
LMTV.
No, deuce and a half.
Tracked vehicle.
I wish. Next time.
We'll see you guys next week.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try.